It was supposed to be her moment, her rookie campaign, her rise to the top, but something has shifted, something heavy, and Angel Reese can feel it. You can see it in her posture, in the post-game pressers, in the eyes that once looked up to her but now hesitate. Filled with questions, with criticism, with whispers that never used to follow her in college. Because this isn't LSU anymore. This is the WNBA, and every step, every foul, every tweet, every stare down, it's magnified, dissected, turned into a talking point, and lately, the conversation has started to sound different, more cutting, less celebratory. The fans who once roared now scroll. The headlines that once screamed her name in triumph now frame her in tension, in controversy, in comparison, and that comparison? It always leads back to Caitlin Clark. Because while Caitlin is breaking records, moving merch, selling out arenas, becoming the new face of the league, Angel is fighting a different battle, one on the court and one inside her own team. She came in fierce, confident, unapologetic, the Bayou Barbie with the gold hoops and even bolder game. But now the fire that made her famous is being treated like a flaw. And the Chicago Sky? They aren't protecting her, not the way they should. It started with tension, subtle at first, moments in games where teammates wouldn't pass, eye rolls on the bench, brief quotes from the coach that felt colder than they should have been, and then the media ran with it, spinning every missed shot into a headline, every technical into a narrative. It wasn't just about Angel's game anymore. It was about her personality, her attitude, her worth, and worst of all, how she measured up to Clark. Because Clark was getting calls, getting coverage, getting credit, while Angel, she was getting elbows, getting side-eyed by teammates, and now getting thrown under the bus by the very team that drafted her. After a recent loss, the shift was clear, the locker room energy turned, and quietly, not so quietly, blame started leaking into the air. It came in the form of veiled comments, subtle jabs from coaching staff about rookie maturity, about discipline, about buying into the system, and it didn't take long for the media to connect the dots. They weren't talking about just anyone, they were talking about Angel. And she knew it. You could see it in her next post-game interview, jaw clenched, eyes sharp, words chosen like bullets. She called out the disrespect, the double standards, the fact that when other rookies show passion, it's leadership, but when she does, it's labeled aggression. She didn't name names, but the message was loud, clear, and rooted in truth. And that truth? It hurt. Because while she's been dragged through headlines, Caitlin has been embraced. Same league, different treatment. Caitlin Clark gets marketed as the golden girl, the hero, the savior, while Angel, who has every right to own her space, who dominated in college, who brings millions of fans to the screen, she gets turned into a problem. And now that problem is internal. Because when your team starts letting the noise dictate the narrative, when your coach stops defending you publicly, when your teammates start distancing themselves in subtle ways, it's not just about basketball anymore. It becomes personal. And for Angel Reese, this is personal. She's not going to fold, she's not going to fade, but the fire inside her is now burning with frustration, not just ambition. She's watching someone else be given the keys to the kingdom while she's being asked to earn her respect twice over. And make no mistake, this isn't just about jealousy, this isn't petty. This is systemic, layered, complex. This is about the different ways we view emotion depending on who's expressing it, about the way Black women in sports are held to standards that shift like shadows, about the burden of having to be twice as good just to be called equal. Angel Reese didn't choose this spotlight. It was handed to her the moment she dared to be confident, to talk her talk, to win on her terms. And now, she's being asked to dim her light so others can shine. But that's not who she is. And no matter how hard Chicago tries to paint her as the issue, no matter how many under-the-table whispers leak to reporters, no matter how much pressure they apply, Angel is not backing down. If anything, she's waking up. And if the sky won't ride with her, she'll ride for herself. Because this league is watching, and the fans, oh, they're watching too. And they're starting to see the truth. The truth is, Angel Reese isn't broken. She's being built. And what comes next? That's the part nobody's ready for. Now the tension is boiling over, not just in the arena, but across social feeds, on every panel, on every podcast, and in every tweet that dares to speak Angel Reese's name. Because what started as a rookie season has turned into a war zone of perception. And Angel is caught in the middle. Fans are choosing sides, the noise is louder, the lights are hotter, and the league is watching it all unfold, letting the drama simmer while the clicks roll in. She was supposed to be the moment, and in a way she still is. But the frame around her has changed. They don't want her fire, they want her filtered. And That was never part of the deal. Every benching becomes a headline, every expression becomes a meme, and every foul she draws turns into an argument about her attitude, her leadership, her worth. They say she's not Caitlin Clark, and she never said she was. What she is loud, is bold, is fierce, is complex, and that complexity makes people uncomfortable, makes organizations squirm, makes narratives unravel. Because the second Chicago Sky started leaking stories, whispering words like immaturity and discipline into the media pipeline, it stopped being about basketball and started being about blame. And it's clear who the target is, not just in the subtle shade, but in the way they protect others while letting Angel stand alone in the storm. She saw it coming. You can see it in how she moves now, more calculated, more guarded, but still burning with that same relentless energy. So she took to social media, not with rants, but with silence and likes, with carefully chosen claps that cut deeper than any quote. And when the Sky refused to stand behind her, she did what real ones do. She stood for herself. Because when you're built like her, the pressure doesn't crush you, it sharpens you. And that last game? That wasn't just a performance, it was a message. She played with hunger, with vengeance, with pride. She boxed out like it was personal. She defended like her story was being written in real time. And she knew the cameras were rolling. Because this is the Angel Reese era, whether the league wants it or not. She doesn't need to be embraced to be undeniable, and that's what scares them. Because while some rookies get carried on a golden path, she's building hers with her bare hands, brick by brick, highlight by highlight. And it's not just her fight anymore. It's a statement for every player who's ever been labeled too much, too passionate, too loud, too strong, too black, too real. Angel isn't playing the game, she's rewriting it. And if Chicago thinks they can mute that, they're about to learn something. Because she's not waiting for their permission, she's making them regret their silence. And as the league watches, as fans pick sides, one thing is becoming crystal clear. Angel Reese is not just fighting for respect, she's demanding it. And when it finally comes, it won't be handed to her with applause. It will be taken, loudly, boldly, undeniably. Because this is only the beginning. The cracks are no longer invisible. They're showing, in real time, on national television, in pressers, in timeouts, in the body language of players who were supposed to be teammates, but now look like strangers sharing a jersey. And Angel Reese? She feels every single moment of it, like heat pressing against her chest. It didn't happen all at once. No, this has been building, quietly at first, then louder still, until now it's undeniable. Now it's screaming. Now it's on every timeline, on every podcast, debated and dissected to death. Because there's no loyalty in the league when you're not their favorite, and Angel is learning that in real time. She came into the W with star power, with fans, with fire, but the system was never built for someone like her to be embraced. They say it's about merit, but merit alone doesn't buy you protection, not in this league. Not when you speak your mind, not when you look how Angel looks, not when you carry the weight of expectation and authenticity on the same shoulders. So when her teammates stop passing the ball in crucial plays, when the coach benches her with no explanation, when the post-game talks feel more like cold PR statements than real defense, Angel sees it, and the world is starting to see it too. This isn't coaching, this is politics. This isn't player development, this is brand management. They want her to shrink, to be quieter, to play the game within the game. But Angel never learned how to be small. She only knows how to dominate, how to lead with her chest, how to speak truth even when her voice shakes. This is how it ends, or maybe how something else begins, because with everything stacked against her, with every headline sharpened like a blade, with teammates stepping back and coaches staying silent, Angel Reese isn't breaking, she's evolving, and evolution is never quiet. There's a look in her eyes now that didn't exist back at LSU. Not because she wasn't fierce then, but because back then the fight was external. It was about beating the other team. Now the fight is internal, not just inside herself, but inside the very system that was supposed to support her. And she's learning, the hard way, that being great isn't enough when the people around you don't want you to win loudly. The Chicago Sky drafted Angel for her energy, her draw, her fire, and now they want to tame the very thing that made her magnetic. But you can't put a crown on a lion and then ask it to purr. And Angel? She's roaring. The tension has reached its peak. Post-game interviews are colder. The locker room is split. Whispers are becoming open criticisms, and every loss is framed as her fault, like she's the system, the strategy, the scorecard. And yet, every win? That's shared, that's team first, that's unified, and the hypocrisy bleeds through every headline. They say she doesn't hustle, but the stat sheet says different. They say she's too emotional, but the replay shows composure. They say she's immature, but the game tape shows growth, leadership, heart. And Caitlin Clark's name is always there, dangling like bait in every conversation. Not because Angel invited comparison, but because the media did, because the league did, because fans needed a narrative. And now Angel is forced to play both defense and offense, on and off the court. And while Clark gets the brand deals, the ESPN protection, the curated legacy, Angel is being handed battles instead of banners. Yet somehow, she's still here, still standing, still fighting. Because what the league doesn't get, what Chicago never understood, is that Angel isn't built for collapse, she's built for resistance. Every game she steps into now is layered with something deeper. When she grabs a rebound, it's not just for the box score, it's a reclamation. When she boxes out, it's not just basketball, it's a message. When she claps back at the bench, it's not just attitude, it's ownership. And maybe that's what they fear the most. Not her words, but her clarity. She's no longer waiting for approval. She's no longer trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for her. She's building her own frame. And if the sky won't rise with her, she'll rise anyway. Because there are other teams, other cities, other organizations that will see what Chicago refused to nurture, that will value what was nearly silenced. The fans see it now, too, the way narratives are crafted, the way double standards are weaponized, and they're calling it out, louder and more often, refusing to let the story stay one-sided. Angel isn't trending because she's a problem, she's trending because she's power. Because every system that tried to tame her underestimated her. She doesn't need perfect stats to show her value, because her value is in her presence, her voice, her gravity. She shifts arenas when she walks in. She brings culture with her, and whether the league likes it or not, she is shaping the future of the WNBA in real time. And here's the thing they didn't expect. Angel Reese isn't just playing basketball. She's building legacy. Not the clean, media-trained, sponsor-approved kind, but the kind that lives in documentaries, in speeches, in highlight reels played years from now, when people finally say what they should have said from the start. She carried more than points. She carried the weight of expectation, of criticism, of representation, of transformation. And when this season ends and the retrospectives start rolling in, they'll talk about the drama, the tension, the moments of fire. But what they'll really be talking about is Angel's unwillingness to conform, her refusal to bow. She was forged in the flame, and now she walks through it. So here's the truth. She's not just rising. She's rewriting the blueprint. And every elbow, every silence, every time they threw her under the bus, it built her. So if this was supposed to break her, they failed. Because Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie, the rookie, the fighter, the force, isn't just surviving the league. She's shaping it. And this was only the beginning.